Today I want to talk about sample size, and sample size is very important in hypothesis testing or when you're doing inferential statistics. So let me show you what I mean. Here is our population. It's a bag of peanut M&Ms. But let's say it's not a bag of peanut M&Ms. Let's say that it is a folder of imaging studies, and I want to know what's in this folder. First thing I need to do is open my folder. Once my folder is open, then I can begin to start taking files out and looking at them. And so the first file I get is a green file, and a green file will say is an MRI, right? So based on a sample of 1, I could conclude that all the studies in this folder are MRIs. Now we know that a sample of 1 is way too small, so let's take another sample. Okay, we got another green. That's 2 MRIs in that folder. Again, the sample is probably too small. 3 greens? Okay, that seems like a trend at this point. So at this point, I might say, all right, well, this folder contains nothing but MRI studies. It's just a folder full of MRI studies. And I could call it at that, and I could go on my way, and when anybody asks, I'll say that, oh, that yellow and red folder contains a bunch of MRI studies. But have I done enough testing? Do I have a sample size that's big enough to know that? Let's keep going. So I take a couple more out, and oh, look, there's a blue. We'll say that's a CT study. So now I can say, all right, well, this folder contains 80% MRI studies. So based on the sample of the population I have so far, I could accurately say that MRIs comprise 80% of that folder. But is that really a true statement? Have I done enough testing? When I get the folder about halfway empty, I see that that's actually not true. I've got red nucleomed studies, I've got a yellow x-ray study, I've got orange ultrasound studies, I've got brown bone density studies. So at this point in my testing, I've got the bag about half empty I've got the folder about half empty of studies, and I can say that, well, it contains 32% MRI studies. And that's probably going to be a lot more accurate because now I have a large enough sample size. My data isn't skewed by only having a very small sample. I'm getting a pretty accurate sample, but let's go ahead and empty the whole bag and see exactly what it works out to be. So once I empty the entire folder, I can see that actually 29% of that folder was MRI studies. So here's my point. Whenever you're doing inferential statistics, forecasting, and trend analysis and all those things, make sure you have a big enough sample. If your sample is too small, you could say, well, that bag's full of nothing but green M&Ms. And we know that that's not true. And that's where common sense has to kick in. When you're doing an analysis of something and you come up with some crazy analysis and it seems like just logically it doesn't make sense that the entire bag would be full of green M&Ms, get a bigger sample and you'll find out what the true representation is. Thank you for watching.